Good morning. Good morning. I want to begin where most of us wake up at 3 in the morning, heart knocking, mind running through old confessions and new bargains. When God is silent, I must be forgotten, punished, or disqualified. Isn't that how the old fear phrases itself? I asked, nothing. I begged, nothing. Doors do not move, clocks do not wink. The sky holds its breath. And we say, what did I do? What didn't I do? We project an invisible judge into that quiet, and we sentence ourselves. Oh, not at all, not at all. Let us be very gentle with ourselves now, and very clear. Silence is not abandonment. Silence is not a withdrawal of love or guidance or supply. Silence is a different mode of presence. It is the way the infinite turns our face from outer signs to inner awareness. It is not God stepping back. It is God stepping in, so near that the noise by which we used to locate Him no longer applies. Silence isn't God leaving. It's God coming closer within. This is a very strange work we are about, and I sometimes wonder if it is a proving ground, not a test of worthiness, but a training in discernment. Will we learn to distinguish between the sea of thought, our anxieties, our religious theatrics, our impatience, our craving for omens, and the actual presence that needs none of that? Are we willing to let our ears grow calm enough to hear what is not said in words? That is the proving. Not, am I good enough? Not, am I on probation? But can I be quiet enough to notice what is already here? Now I know the habit. We run to the outer for reassurance. Give me a sign. Send me a letter. Make the phone ring. Put a bright bow on the package so I know it's mine. And when none of that appears, we assume heaven has changed addresses. No. The mode has changed. That is all. The presence that once indulged our need for external proofs is educating us into a higher reliance, the inner life. The teacher moves from blackboard to whisper, and our eyes must give way to an inward ear. So we will not spend our time together chasing messages. We are not here to coach the universe into theatrical stunts. We are here to learn contact. Simple, clean contact. Not a theory about God, not a performance for God, but an actual awareness, an actual feeling, a click. Until we feel it stirring, until something in us says, I am, and the room grows larger without a single chair being moved, we have not yet come to the point. But we will. Take courage, then. The silence that startled you is your upgrade in progress. It is presence, shifting you from outside dependence to inside awareness, from the noise of the mind to the knowing of the heart. And as we go on, we will prove it, not by argument, not by eloquence, but by that quiet, unmistakable click that says, here I am. And where I am, all that is needed flows. Now, why does the quiet frighten us so? Why does a pause in the outer set off alarm bells as if someone had pulled a fire cord in the soul? Because we have lived so long in the sea of thought that we mistake its waves for oxygen. Thought, in the way we are using the word, is everything that can be seen, heard, tasted, touched, smelled. Everything read in a magazine and everything remembered from childhood. Everything feared about tomorrow and planned for next week. The headlines and the grocery list. The praise we chase and the shame we run from. All of it. That is the sea. And in a sea like that, subtlety drowns. Nuance is swallowed. The still, small voice does not shout above the surf. When the outer reassurance stops, The letter doesn't come. The feeling doesn't swell on schedule. The personal sense of I rushes in like a stage manager who thinks the play cannot go on without more props. And what does it manufacture? Meaning. Usually the cheapest kind. Guilt, doom, self-accusation. I must have failed. God must be displeased. I didn't pray hard enough. I didn't say the right words. I am off the list. Do you know that fellow? The inner prosecutor who never rests? He thrives in noise. When he cannot find noise outside, he manufactures it inside. Let us ask the questions out loud, so we can hear the nonsense and smile at it. Am I trying to make God speak on my schedule? Am I hoping to influence God with my anxiety? Am I believing that fretting is a virtue and panic a lever that moves the infinite? Am I, in this very moment, instructing omniscience how to be wise? Oh, not at all. Not at all. The silence isn't an indictment. It is the refusal of the divine to be managed by our theatrics. It is mercy, quietly removing our props so that a truer faculty can wake up. Let us clear away by negation. Silence doesn't mean you're unworthy. It doesn't mean prayer failed. It doesn't mean the universe is closed on Sundays and holidays. It doesn't mean the channel is broken. It doesn't mean you've been abandoned at the train station. It only means that the old habit, measuring God by outer sound and spectacle, has met its limit. The presence is closer than your breath, and breath makes no noise unless we force it. Rising above the sea of thought is not spacing out. It is not becoming a holy daydreamer, neglecting life and duties. It is not hypnosis. It is awakening a deeper faculty than thinking, a way of knowing that does not depend on images, words, or the next mood. We might call it awareness. We might call it the heart. We might call it the I am that bears witness to itself. When we touch that, there is often no narrative, no fireworks, but there is a sense, sometimes as delicate as a feather touching the skin, that says, here. The click. And with that click, the panic subsides. Because we discover that silence is not empty, it is full. Full of presence, full of assurance that doesn't need a sentence, full of guidance that moves not by outlines, but by a rightness that quietly places our next step under our feet. So when the mind begins to splash and shout, let us not argue with the waves. Let us recognize the sea for what it is, and gently, repeatedly, turn to that deeper faculty. Not to win a sign, not to squeeze words out of heaven, but to feel the fact that where God is, I am. And in that recognition, the noise loses its throne. Now let us turn the page. If the sea has quieted enough that we can hear our own breath, let us ask the one question that redeems the whole problem of silence. What if silence is the method by which presence becomes conscious? Not a punishment, not a void to be filled with our own echo, but the very locale where the reality we call God ceases to be a rumor and begins to be self-aware as us. Is it possible that the outer microphones are turned off so that the inner ear may find its native sound? You see, as long as God is an object out there, a voice on the wind, a coincidence arranged on our calendar, a headline that says, "Prayers answered," we remain beggars to circumstance. We become inspectors of weather and watchers of mailboxes. When silence comes, it interrupts that habit. It says, "Gently now. Stop looking at the theater's stage. The actor you are waiting for is the life inside your own being." And then we protest. But I need a word, a token, a surge, a holy goosebump. Not a message, not a sign, not a sensation to chase. Let us be clear. Sensations are fickle. Messages can be misheard. Signs can be counterfeited by our wishful thinking. Awareness, subtle, stable, sufficient, is what we are after. The click. Now about this holy word, I am. We must be careful. We are not speaking of I, Joel, I, Mary, I, the personality that has a driver's license and an opinion on everything. Oh, not at all. Not at all. We are pointing to that I am, which is before any name, the very being that says I in every saint and sinner and child. It is not an ego assertion. It is God announcing God as the life of you. The personal I is a function. The I am is substance. The personal I comes and goes in moods and ages. The I am abides, changeless, like the light in which all these pictures arise and dissolve. In the classroom of silence, this distinction is not argued. It is discovered. There comes a moment, and it can be as soft as a leaf falling, when something in you knows, without a syllable, I am. Not bravado, not self-inflation, simple isness. And with that, a sweetness begins to circulate, a hush that is not empty but full, and the mind finds it has nothing left to sell. You do not have to argue yourself into peace then. Peace is the evidence of itself. Assurance appears with its own credentials. The presence does not need your endorsement any more than the sun needs your flashlight. It radiantizes of its own nature. This is why the old petition begins to collapse in the quiet. Not because we are forbidden to ask, but because the asker is gracefully replaced by the knower. The prayer becomes, "Seek me only," and the answer is the felt fact. Where God is, I am. Not as a sentence we repeat to drown out doubt, but as awareness that stands on its own feet. We are not waiting for outer arrangements to certify it. We are letting the inner I am announce itself as the very core of our being. And in that announcement, without fanfare, guidance and supply begin to flow as naturally as breath. Quiet, steady, sufficient. Let us look closely at a simple question that unhooks a lifetime of struggle. Where does the outside leave off, and where does the inside begin? If you take anything at all, a thing you can hold in your hand or merely imagine, are there really two sides, an outer and an inner? Or is there one substance presenting two faces for function's sake? Is there an outside to the light and an inside to the light? Or just light filling its own form? Now follow me gently, because this is more than wordplay. We are not speaking of philosophy for sport. We are pointing to the way fear gets born. If God is conceived as over there, and I am conceived as over here, then silence feels like the space between us filling up with cold air. Distance, delay, maybe rejection. But if God is my very being, my life, my awareness, my I am, and I am the presentation, the form, the face by which that life goes about its business, then tell me, where could there be a gap? Where could there be a pause in supply, a lull in presence, except in my belief about separation? Silence, then, is not an empty hallway. It is intimacy too near for sound. It is the one being its own self without the rattle of my props. Let's be clear on this. We are not two in being. We are two in function. The invisible life that is God is the substance, the reality, the withinness, and what we call a person is the form, the office, the function by which that life appears in time and place. There are not two lives. There are not two intelligences. There is not an independent creature seeking favors from a reluctant deity. There is life expressing as you and as me, one presence wearing many names and faces, but never divided. Now I know the nervous question. Are you telling me that my little ego is God? Oh, not at all. Not at all. The ego is precisely what thins out and fades in this recognition, like mist before the sun. It is not self-deification, it is self-disappearance. It is the end of the privately owned I, with its boasts and its shames, and the dawning of the I am, that has no biography and needs no applause. You need a sense of humor here, or you'll start bowing to the mirror. No, the mirror is nothing without the light. Do you see why silence has frightened us? We have been standing at the wall, pounding with a broom handle for the neighbor upstairs to keep it down or to send a message. And there is no neighbor upstairs. There is one house, one electricity, one light switch, and the switch is within. When the pounding stops, the light is noticed turning on by itself, because it was always our own. And the moment this settles, yes, even for a breath, prayer begins to change of its own accord. You cannot go on shouting across a fence that never was. You cannot bargain with your own life to be your life. The only prayer that makes any sense from here is the quiet recognition, the felt communion with what is already present as your very being. From there, silence is not a threat. It is home. And the next step, the guidance, the supply, shows up as naturally as your breath returns when you stop holding it. Now, if prayer changes when we see there is no fence to shout over, let us be honest about the old habit that tries to sneak back in the side door. In the hush, the personal sense of I starts bargaining. Give me a word so I know I'm safe. Send a sign so I can stop being afraid. Arrange this outcome so I'll believe again. Do you hear the tone of it? As if the infinite were a clerk behind a counter, and if we phrase it correctly, stamp, stamp, stamped, approved. I catch myself and I have to smile. Am I trying to instruct God? Influence God? Get a reply the way I would from a telephone call? Am I coaching omniscience on how to be wise? Oh, not at all. Not at all. You need a sense of humor here, or you will take your own panic for piety. Do you see how petition collapses in silence? Not because anyone has forbidden asking, but because, in the quiet, the asker is revealed to be the noisiest part of us. The ask is built on separation. I am here, God is there, and if I press the right buttons, a delivery truck will arrive. But what delivery truck brings you your own breath? What messenger delivers the light to the eye that already sees by it? The silence is a mercy. It exposes the absurdity. And under that exposure, the only prayer left standing is the simplest. Seek me only. Seek me only. Not my gifts, not my packages, not my weather. Me, the presence. The prayer now becomes the realization that where God is, I am, and where I am, God is. Not as a sentence to hypnotize ourselves, but as an actual awareness, an actual feeling, until we feel it stirring. Let me offer you the analogy that never wears out. You cannot ask the sun to shine on you. You cannot plead with it to be warmer this afternoon than it was this morning. But you can bring yourself into the sunshine. And then what? Automatically, without negotiation, there is warmth, there is light, and if you remain long enough, there is the tan. Try writing a petition to the sun for a tan and see where that gets you. Thinking won't make this so. Bargaining won't make this so. Contact makes this so. Bring yourself into the presence, silently, receptively, and effects flow of their own nature. Guidance is the warmth. Supply is the light. Harmony is the color that appears on the skin of life without your rubbing it in. Now please do not hear what I am not saying. This does not mean we stop paying bills or cancel appointments or float down the street humming. It doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean neglect. It means the order is reversed. First, the contact. Seek me only. Out of that, instruction appears where and as you are. Action arises, but not as panic or outline, as rightness that places the next step under your feet. And if the silence lingers without a single word, do not call it failure. Call it school. In that school, petition is gently taken from your hand, and communion is placed there instead. This is the prayer that works because it isn't a request at all. It is the recognition of presence. Stay faithful to that, and you will discover that what you used to chase begins to report to you, quietly, in its proper time. Because the sun doesn't have to be begged to shine. It only asks that you come out from under your umbrella. Now let us come to the little sign we watch for. Not a trumpet, not a banner, just a click. I call it that because words give out. It is an actual awareness, an actual stirring, a sense of isness settling where strain had been. It is not emotional fireworks. It is not mental certainty. It is the quiet arrival of sufficiency. A subtle rightness stands where demand was standing, and it says nothing at all, and yet the whole room changes. You know this from other moments. A child falls asleep on your shoulder and the air softens. A storm ceases and you didn't hear it end, but you know it has. That is the flavor. Here is a simple progression for the practice. First, notice the demand. Catch the mind saying, I must have an answer now. I must have a sign. I must know which way. Just notice it. Smile at it. Do not shame it. Do not feed it. Oh, not at all. Not at all. Simply recognize, this is the sea of thought asking for more waves. Second, release the demand. How? By letting the sentence fall unfinished. By laying it down like a newspaper when you realize you have read enough of the same headline. Third, rest as awareness. Not as a thinker trying to think this through, but as the witness that is already here before any thought arrived. Fourth, wait a moment and feel the shift, the movement from tension to a small, solid hush. Often it is no bigger than a single breath widening by itself. That is the click. It is not trance. It is not passivity. It is not denial. It does not mean you stop working, planning, or caring. It only means you stop depending on mental noise for guidance. The activity continues, but the battery has changed. You find that action rises from the hush, not from the hurry. If you like a micro-meditation, do this many times a day, wherever you are. Sit if you can. Stand if you must. Soften the forehead. Let the jaw unhook. Breathe once or twice in a way you can feel. Inwardly acknowledge, here is presence. Not far. Here. Say nothing else. Outline nothing. Wait without bargaining. 30 seconds is enough to begin. 2 minutes is plenty. You are not manufacturing God. You are noticing what never left. Learn the sound of each voice. The mind is loud and urgent. It threatens, bargains, and gives deadlines. Presence is quiet and sufficient. It arrives as peace before it arrives as direction. Very often, the first guidance is no guidance, only a lift, a sense that the ground has come up to meet your feet. Then, in its own time, a next step appears as obviousness. You are already dialing the number. You find yourself washing the dish that had been waiting 3 days. You realize the email writes itself, or it doesn't need to be sent at all. No fireworks, but a steady rightness. Try it in the hallway outside a difficult meeting. Try it over the stack of bills. Try it in the car before turning the key. Do not measure by outer results in that moment. Measure by the inner click. That presence of God is the insurance policy. Where that is felt, the way becomes the way. Seek me only, and you will hear without words, because the one who hears and the one who answers are not two. Now, let us be honest. Even after the click appears, there are mornings when the quiet feels like a hollow. Why? Because silence threatens the personal I that has been running the show on constant feedback and proof. That I keeps a ledger. Did I get an answer? Did I get a sign? Did I get my way? And when nothing salutes on command, it cries abandonment. But who is abandoned? The manager who never really managed. The superintendent of outcomes who never owned the building. The ache is not the absence of God. It is the loosening of the fantasy that a private self can steer infinity by clutching the wheel. Let us retrain our language by negation, so we can see what is actually here. There is no my life to fix. There is life, indivisible, expressing. There is no my supply to secure. There is the inexhaustible appearing as enough, in right measure, right place, right time. There is no my future to force. There is the unfoldment of wisdom as the only calendar. There is no my health to defend. There is the integrity of being revealing itself as balance. There is no my reputation to polish. There is only the light expressing, and what is light needs no polish. Do you feel how the muscles let go when the possessive pronoun drops? The weight shifts off your shoulders to where it always was, on the invisible that never asked for your strain. Die daily, the old word says. Oh, not at all is self-hatred. Not at all is making yourself small and unlovely. Die daily as in, let the claim of private authorship dissolve. Let the sentence, I am running this, end mid-word. Let the anxious signer put down the pen and discover that the contract was already signed by life itself. You need a sense of humor for this, or you'll try to attend your own funeral and supervise the eulogies. No. Let the little executor step aside and watch how the estate administers itself. Here's the paradox that proves itself in living. The less you cling to the personal self, the more room there is in you to love, to act, to endure, to be guided. When I, me, mine goes on coffee break, strength walks in without making noise. Courage shows up without a speech. You find you can listen longer without defending, give without calculating, stand in uncertainty without inventing a disaster. Why? Because the pressure to invent outcomes has relaxed, and wisdom is free to move. I live, yet not I. The life lives as me, and it works. So when the silence feels like loss, name it rightly. It is only loss to the ego. To the surrendered heart, silence is a birthplace. In that hush, Identity is not erased. It is revealed. No longer a private owner, but the very presence we have been seeking, now discovered as our own selfhood. And as that discovery stabilizes, the quiet ceases to be a void and becomes a sanctuary. Safe, sufficient, directive, preparing us, as we shall see, to lay down our BEVELS of outcome and let presence be the order of our day. Now, about these BIBBLES. It's a funny word, and I like to roll it around inside my mouth because it has the sound of something that glitters too much and breaks too easily. A BIBBLE is anything to which we attach undue importance, more importance than presence itself, and then proceed to measure God by it. We say with noble lips, "I want God," while the heart is tapping its foot. And I want relief by Friday, money by Monday, a text message by noon, and please, an apology with suitable remorse. Is it possible we are bartering? Is it possible that the silence is catching us in the act? We asked for God, but we are peeking over his shoulder to see if our package is on the truck. Oh, not at all are these human goods evil. Not at all. It is not wrong to have them. It is wrong to worship them. It is wrong to say, if this appears, God is good. If it does not, God is absent. That is idolatry in a necktie. The moment a condition becomes the proof of presence, we have put the cart where even a strong horse cannot drag it. Seek me only. Seek me only. The warmth and the light are the qualities of the sun. You need not chase them with a butterfly net. Bring yourself into the sunshine, and you will not miss out on warmth. But stand indoors polishing your list, and you will be cold in a house full of lamps. Here is how silence helps us. In the quiet, the BIBBLES rattle. Anxiety rises like a child shaking a toy and saying, "Look, look, look!" Good. Let it announce itself. And then, very gently, give it its right name. That's a BIBBLE. Say it softly, even with a smile. That's a BIBBLE. A certain check, a certain result, a certain vindication. BIBBLES. Not wrong to use when they appear, wrong to demand as if life hangs on the string of them. And having named it, turn to the only prayer that is prayer. Reveal thyself within. Not, fix this. Not, hurry up. Reveal thyself within. Wait a breath for the click. If no click, wait without bargaining. Seek me only. The paradox stands like a door that opens the moment you stop pushing it. The way to receive right human good is never by grasping for it in the silence. It is by relinquishing the demand and returning to presence. Do you see the mercy? When the BEVELS drop to the floor, the hands are free to receive, if there is something to receive, or to rest, if there is nothing needed. And often, when the demand dissolves, the very thing that would have been proper for the hour comes of its own accord, not as a prize snatched, but as a function of the day. We don't become victims of fate by this. Oh, not at all. We stop being slaves to effects and begin to be masters of fate by being servants of presence. Let us be careful by negation, so no zealot is born here. This doesn't mean you despise money, or scorn medicine, or throw away your telephone. It doesn't mean you stop doing the next practical thing, or that you perform saintly stunts to prove you can live without breakfast. It means you take the BIBBLES off the altar. You refuse to make outcomes your deity. You refuse to time God by your watch. First, the contact. Reveal thyself within. Then, whatever is required, call, email, apology, payment, will present itself as obviousness, not as compulsion. Practice the interruption all day. The moment the stomach tightens over a result, whisper, "That's a bubble," and pivot. Reveal thyself within. Feel for the click. If it comes, move from it. If it delays, rest in it. As BIBBLES lose their hypnotic power, the quiet stops looking like a thief and starts looking like a trustworthy friend. Guidance is no longer a voice you chase. It is the way your feet find the ground without looking. And then, very naturally, very quietly, life arranges itself around presence instead of your outline, and you discover that the silence you once feared has been your sanctuary all along. Now, let us speak kindly about the in-between. That awkward corridor when you have set down the BEVELS, you have turned within, you have waited for the click, and yet the scenery on the street has not changed its costumes overnight. This is the season that tempts you to tear up the new map and run back to the old one, with its red arrows and deadlines. Do not. The silence is not absence. It is a workshop with the doors closed, while the carpenter rearranges the beams you have been living under. The hammer is quiet to the street, but inside the structure, the joists are moving. What is being rebuilt is not the neighborhood. It is your dependence. The old scaffolding, panic, bargaining, proof hunting, is being dismantled so that awareness can carry the weight. I know the objections that rise like clockwork. So, am I now to sit in holy idleness while bills pile up and doctors wonder where I've gone? Oh, not at all. Not at all. Use wisdom. Keep appointments. Take the medicine that is yours to take. Balance the budget. Make the phone call. Have the hard conversation. Only cease giving these offices the scepter. They are functions, not gods. The order changes. First, the contact. Seek me only. Then the next right function appears as obviousness. We are not abandoning good sense. We are abandoning idolatry. Here is the new metric, and it will save you much discouragement. Demonstration follows awareness. The difference between yesterday and tomorrow is not the number of prayers said, nor the volume, nor the cleverness of our affirmations. The difference is the degree of realized presence. Where that presence is felt, even faintly, tendencies begin to shift. People report it in homely ways. The fuse that used to blow at the slightest offense holds steady. The hand that reached for the compulsion pauses and does not. The mind that spun 10 frantic options sees one quiet step and takes it. No fanfare, but a leveled inner ground. First stabilization, then clarification, then outward adjustment. Often small, sometimes large, but never again the old slavery. Do not measure the workshop by the noise it makes. Measure by the hush that arrives in the middle of the same circumstances. That hush is grace mid-swing. And as it deepens, you discover that results stop being events you chase and become functions of a presence you trust. You look back and realize 3 things have happened. Less reactivity, fewer bargains, clearer steps. That is grace rearranging your consciousness. And from that rearrangement, forms reform. Now let us fold this into a rhythm, or it will drift like a good intention. Morning, before the world starts spending you, make contact. 2 minutes, 5, 10. Enough to feel the click or the willingness to wait for it. Night, before sleep gathers the senses, return to the same presence. Lay down the day like a coat on a chair. In between, interrupt the sea of thought whenever the stomach tightens. Whisper, seek me only. Reveal thyself within. Then do the next simple thing that presents itself. If nothing presents, rest. If something presents, act without outline. Keep to this gentle discipline, And the season called nothing happening will show its other name, everything happening, within, where grace builds the house that will not fall. Now let us make this so plain that even the Monday morning part of us can keep it. For 7 days, one practice only, repeated until it becomes breath. Contact over commentary. Not arguments, not affirmations by the yard. Contact. The little click. If words are used, let them be no more than pointing fingers. Seek me only. Here is the I am. Bookend your days. Morning, before the world starts spending you, take 5 to 10 minutes and turn within. Do not bring your list. Do not bargain. Simply acknowledge, quietly, here is presence. Here is the I am. Rest there. If a BEVEL tries to audition, money, health, reputation, smile and say, that's a BEVEL, and lay it down without commentary. Wait for the soft rightness, the small widening breath. If it comes, beautiful. If it does not, your willingness to wait is faith enough for the hour. Night, before sleep gathers the senses, return to the same altar. 5 to 10 minutes. Let the day fall off the shoulders. No reviews, no verdicts. Only the simple recognition. Where God is, I am. That is all. Let the presence tuck you in. In between, 3 resets. Set a gentle chime, morning, noon, late afternoon. At the sound, pause for 30 seconds, wherever you are. Unhook the jaw, soften the brow. Name the nearest idol. That's a BIBBLE. Release the outline it drags behind it. Whisper, reveal thyself within. Say nothing further. One slow breath. Feel for the click. If it lands, proceed from peace. If not, proceed in peace. We are not earning a voice. We are learning to recognize the voice as presence itself. Peace first, then direction. Now, a softened speech fast. For 7 days, reduce I, me, mine complaints. Not as law, as discovery. Notice how often the mouth is ready to say, I am tired. I am worried. My luck, my problem, my enemy. Catch it at the lips. Oh, not at all as repression, not at all. Just let the sentence disband before it recruits soldiers. Either be silent or shift the line to recognition. Here, presence is sufficient. If something must be said, make it functional and clear without the drama of I. You will be amazed to see how much fear of silence is fed by the soundtrack of I, me, mine. Expectations? Keep them small and sacred. You are not coaxing thunder. You are turning your face to the sun. First peace, then direction. First the hush, then the obvious next step. Measure the 7 days not by fireworks, but by these. A little less bargaining, a little more ease. A click that arrives a shade quicker than it used to. And if nothing seems to move, remember, demonstration follows awareness. Stay with the practice. Let us agree to this. 7 days of bookends and 3 pauses. Of BIBBLES named and outlines dropped. Of here is the I am in place of I, me, mine. Do your work, keep your appointments, answer your mail. Oh, not at all are we floating. But let presence hold the scepter. Turn silence into contact, and you will find, almost shyly at first, that what felt like punishment begins to feel like home. Let us be still a few minutes. We have said enough words. Not abandonment, not punishment, not avoid. Silence as nearness. Silence as oneness. Silence as the revealing of the I am that was never absent. Oh, not at all a disappearance, not at all. The hush is presence too near for sound. The work has been to turn from the outside to the inside, from demand to awareness, from outcomes to the one from which outcomes take their cue. We have spoken of BIBBLES, of the click, of petition falling away into communion. Now we let it all rest. For these moments, release the outlines, the clever maps, the promises made to yourself, the bargains you nearly spoke this morning. Let them slide off the table. If a self-accusation tries to climb back up, I should be further along. I missed it again. I cannot hear. Recognize it gently as the sea of thought making waves for its own amusement. Oh, not at all are we going to wrestle. Smile and let the sentence end mid-word. If a result shouts its deadline, give it its right name, ubble, and lay it softly in the corner. We are not performing. We are not auditioning for miracles. We are being what we are, and we are letting presence be what it is. Now, without effort, rest. Soften the forehead. Let the jaw unhook. One unhurried breath you can feel from nose to belly and back again. Inwardly acknowledge, here is presence. Just that. No commentary. No improving on God. Listen without strain. If there is a click, it may be no more than the sense that the ground has come up beneath your feet. No more than a small widening where tightness had been. Do not coax it. Do not time it. Let the quiet be what it is, which is not your achievement, but your selfhood unmasked. Seek me only. Seek me only. If a thought comes, it may pass like a bird you do not follow. Awareness remains. If a feeling stirs, let it. If nothing stirs, that too is fine. Silence is not measuring you. It is revealing itself as you. Where there is even a whisper of sufficiency, linger a breath longer than habit. The way you remain on a porch that has become suddenly warm. Now, as we come up from this, do not break the thread. Carry the hush into the next step, into the footsteps, the dishes, the call, the care. The message of silence is not words. It is the felt recognition of presence as your own being. And we seal it in the simplest way. Where God is, I am. And in this awareness, all that is needed is added in its season. Peace first, then direction. Presence first, then form. Amen.